Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Known Classics. This is episode number 2186 and Doubleshot number 2080. I have a Defenders trade and an Avengers trade. Now, Defenders, basically, both from the Epic collections. Defenders from the 1980s. Didn't have any issues published in the 90s. 2000s, yes. But 90s, no. But Avengers, yeah. First up we have is, the Defenders Epic Collection, Volume 8, The New Defenders. This book, surprisingly, doesn't cover a lot of Defenders. Now, despite being called New Defenders, the title was still officially called Defenders. Yes, it was called that until issue, I think, like 130-something. Because in book, it was just so called The Defenders. Yes, though on the cover it would call it New Defenders, but not where the point basically where the actual series title was called that. No. This managed to last to issue 139. Because with 140, for the last like 13 issues of this run, it was just called New Defenders. Yep, and the one thing I personally loved about the New Defenders run is this gorgeous cover artwork. Yes, this book had some really good cover artwork. There's one issue's cover I'm going to show you where it's very movie-esque. Though, the first couple covers, now the cover you see on the cover of this one, that's from 128. Now, some of these covers are by Bill Sienkiewicz. At least two covers by Bill Sienkiewicz. One by a couple by Carl Potts, one by Frank Ciccio. Yeah, he does a really good cover. My personal cover of this trade here. Now, this book collects issues from Defenders, issues 126 to 137. The first volume for Iceman. No, it's not the volume he took this gay. That was the awful 2010s run. And Beauty and the Beast. Before I talk about the main book itself, I just talk about Beauty and the Beast for a minute here. Beauty and the Beast. Now, you probably would think based on the title, this would mean that this book is an adaptation of Beauty and the Beast, the book. No, it isn't. It is a basically a potential romance storyline where you have Beast trying to get into a romance with Dazzler. Yes, a romance that goes nowhere after this. Now, oddly enough, this miniseries, now mostly put, Jan DeMatteis would do the main book itself. Yes, but he would do all the issues. No, he would do the Iceman miniseries. Yes, he would definitely do that. The Beauty and the Beast book, let's see. 288. Let's see. That book is actually done by, let's see. Beauty and the Beast is done by Ann Nocenti. Yep, that's the writer of that book. Now, J. Mattias, he was the writer of this book per se. Yes, he was. But he would not say the book is very long. No. There'll be other writers, of course. J. Mattias would stay in this book until issue number... There was an issue he stopped at. Let's see. Oh, that's not gonna help me. Okay, here we go. For Defenders, he would actually stop with issue 131. That's officially the end of his run, basically, which is in this book here. And then the book is taken over by Peter Giles with issue number 132. Yes, for some reason with 132, Peter Giles takes over the book. I actually had met the guy, really nice guy to me in person. And would he be like the final writer of the book, per se, you might ask? Well, you want an answer to that? The answer is yes. He actually be the replacement writer for the book. Started 132 up into the final issue. This one kind of is the end of Jamie Matias' run, but I'm not going to finish reviewing it. I'm not getting my final thoughts on his run, not until I get Volume 6, which that is out. Now, in these issues in particular, what happens in these issues? Well, by the way, Mary Severn does some co-writing here. Now, the artwork is done by Don Perlin with Alan Kupperberg and Sal Buscema, Mike Zeck, and Mary Severn. Now, for issues 126, mostly pick up right in the aftermath of 125, where they basically capture over people from the Secret Empire. But there are people who they bring up to him. I mentioned Harridan, Cloud, and Seraph, and he has no idea who the heck they were. Yeah, he has no idea, but they captured various people associated with the Secret Empire. And Beast basically mentioned that apparently that actually was, they mentioned who 2 weeks ago. Come over. Blasted. Stop them. Secret Empire reports how... Yeah, apparently that they have broken down. Of course, they go through a portal. And then, of course, some weird stuff happens here. Also... Angel apparently starts flirting in the book with Moondragon. Yeah, they have him and Shima hat, and he's like, "How what's going on here?" Takes down like a poster. He's like, "What now?" Trouble sir on level L. He's like, "Level L." So let's get Colonel. Move it. What's going on here? Yeah, it's very confusing. It's like, oh, I got somebody now. The Defenders at this point are not headquartered out of their new place just yet. That basically gets their proper headquarters a little bit later. Yeah, and in case you're curious though, when do they start using it? They start usually with 128. Yes, that's when they start using it as their base operations because the headquarters is some other place, and of course they take on various people. And then you have 127 here, known as Assistant Editor's Month. Yes, this book in particular, well, it's a very odd issue per se. Yes. They describe it as a semi-regular event that happened at Marvel, while others in Marvel Comics give the full creative control over existence. There's always something humorous. Yeah, it's basically a comedy. It started with the 7 of Uncanny X-Men and concluded with Peter Parker just Ridiculous Spider-Man number 86. Yeah. And for the Defenders issue, it's a Felici full cover alteration. Crew body and the logo, like. So that was basically the change here. Was this logo here? Yeah, it's a very weird story. It's basically done for comedy. And yeah, Mandroids coming in. Yes, Mandroids coming in, wreck the Defenders headquarters, and in the very next issue, they're moving out to Angels Atari, which basically becomes a new Defenders mansion, and basically remains their base operations for the rest of the series. By the way, really cool cover by Carl Potts. I love this cover. Yeah, here's another really good cover here. So, we also get basically, Candace Southern basically joins up here not long after this. Now, we have this older lady appears this year. I think this was her debut. I think she's supposed to be like... No, not that one. Yeah, there's also something here with Cloud, where she is rescued by Defenders and she becomes a member of the group. And she stays a member for pretty much the rest of the series. Yep. So who is this older lady, you might ask? Well, they don't give her name. It's just that she acts like she's pretty much in the way she's like the maid for the Defenders. It's almost like basically that JMT has created this character just to be the version of Jarvis. Yes, and the fact that, oh, let's have this character be like just an old lady who just hangs out there. Yeah, and by the way, the place itself was actually very active into 2000s. I'll get to more of that in a minute. So it's like it's basically deal with Secret Empire, and of course you have stuff with New Mutants. Not really a cover here. Yeah, basically they spend the next few issues dealing with New Mutants, and then we have this gorgeous cover. Now this is the cover. Well, this is my personal favorite cover of this book because this feels like something could be easily a movie poster from the 80s. Yes. And the person you gotta think for this cover is, let's see if I can find let's see if I can get the correct name here. And this is 130. The person's cover is Frank Karakako. That's who did this really gorgeous cover artwork. And I think this may have been one of like a few covers he worked on for Defenders. Because he worked on... This was actually his... fun fact. I look up on the line here. Apparently it was the second cover he worked on. He also worked on the cover for 136, 146, 147, 150, and 152. And that's it. Mostly he worked on cover for the series Alien Legion. Yeah, basically does like these sci-fi-esque movie-esque posters. This basically was something you see from fantasy stuff from the 80s, which fits the cover. Yep. And this is also the penultimate issue by JMTS. Yeah, it was so with Mad Dog here. It's mostly so with Secret Empire in these issues in particular. Then we have the Frogs show up and the Walrus. You're thinking, who the heck are these two guys, you might ask? Well, here's the Walrus. I believe he's an old Daredevil villain, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, this actually was his very first appearance. Herbert Carpenter. Yeah, this was his debut appearance. And oh boy, this guy is a joke character. That apparently... Now, this is the first issue done here by Peter Giles because JMT has already left the book. But man, this guy is a complete joke of a character. I mean, here's the thing. After this issue, he doesn't appear again until Spectacular Spider-Man 185, which came out, get this, 8 years later. And then he appeared for Darius the Dragon, which that was 24 years later he decided to show up for this book. And then he became a sporadic character. He actually just recently returned for issue Scarlet Witch. You're thinking, really? The Walrus did? Yeah, you're thinking Carpenter. There's no mention related to Julia Carpenter. No, not really. Well, this version anyways. They had those all... Another character, Herbert Carpenter. This actually is his debut here. It says he resembles Marty Friedman, and this was his sole appearance. Yeah, so... And as in the case of Frog, yeah, he's associated with Daredevil. It's Nothing issue. It's like, oh, let's just throw in this guy Walrus, where he beats up defenders, and never seen the book ever again. And then you have the Iceman Limited Series done by Jay DeMatteis, which is interesting though. They left the book to do this miniseries. And I'm glad they included this book in here because here was the thing. This book was published at the same time as Avengers, so my guess is that it was probably a good move on the part of Marvel to include this in here because it was published at the same period of time, so why not? And the way this book came out looked like it came out once every 2 months. And you're thinking, really? Yes, really. Yeah, that was the strange thing about this book. It's like, they said, come back in 60 days, because here's the thing. First issue released in August. The second issue released in October. This, of course, 1985. Third issue, December. And issue number 4 was released in February of 1986. Yeah, it's mostly what Bobby Drake was up to while this book is going on. They also mentioned here about his time being an accountant, which that happened just prior to him joining the Champions. He became an accountant. Yeah, that's the thing about Iceman. He's a certified accountant. But you know the strange thing is? You never see him doing taxes because Marvel, all the thing Marvel cares about doing nowadays is promote the fact that he was out as freaking gay. Yeah, don't make him an interesting character. No, make him a stupid character. Because he was a sort of a comedy character first introduced, so use that nowadays. Yeah, mostly put you as Iceman act like a hero, taking on these various monsters throughout this really good miniseries. And it's also related to his past. It's a really good miniseries. And it's a shame he's not written like this today. Oh, heck no. Because when I think of Iceman and the stuff he's written in, oh, let's just keep bringing the fact he's gay and put him in a relationship with Emma Frost's brother, who you later broke up with. And the fact he also apparently his younger version of dating a human, which that went nowhere. I bring this up because still to this day, readers who have read Marvel Comics for years still feel as though this was a stupid idea on the part of Marvel Comics to do, was to out Iceman as gay. For no reason, despite the fact he's dated women for years, he was a horn dog. Yes. But no, let's out him as gay for no reason. Like, oh, because our gay characters we originally created are not basically getting over. So let's out basically a character who's been established for years as straight as gay. Yeah, I guess DC felt as though, someone at DC, hey, let's do that with Tim Drake. And that went poorly. I would say the reception for that was worse than when they added Iceman. Oh my gosh, it was freaking worse. I'm surprised the woman received death threats for that. So, 132, this is the official start of Peter Giles' solo work, because he did do 131. This is the first book solo-wise he did. Yep, first book solo-wise. Yep. Because we have Cloud part of the team, and still more gorgeous covers here. Yep. We have very different stuff going on here with them. Lots of basically very middle stuff here. And we also have someone cosplaying as Indiana Jones, possibly because Raiders Lost Ark came at the same period of time as this issue. There's also with Dazzler, which all that does in this issue is set up the Beauty and the Beast miniseries. We also have a cameo here by Wonder Man. Yes, that is Wonder Man in the 1980s. Yes, he had white hair. As for why the heck he had white hair, I don't freaking know. Because nowadays he's picked up with jet black hair. And he also had a relationship with Scarlet Witch. Yep, and I already mentioned that was in Beauty and the Beast. This is the Anna Cindy book. Yep. which is only 4 issues. Yeah, and unlike Iceman, this was monthly. So I was like, okay, let's give a mini-series for Iceman. Let's go for Beast. Gargoyle, I think, had one just prior to this one. Then we have 134. We have this weird character known as Manslaughter. Yes. It's almost like Guile. Now, Guile, I do appreciate the writing here. It's like, wow, we're basically debuting very obscure characters who are pretty obscure nowadays. Manslaughter, just a guy who basically was a criminal. Who fought Defenders for a couple issues. Then became a regular member for pretty much he popped up for these 3 issues. Popped up for the last 3, popped up for Strange Tales. He popped up sporadically. And get this, his most recent appearance was in a digital book. Yes. That came out last year. But physically, his last book that he appeared in was in Cage number 14. He was part of the corporation. Well, a group known as the corporation, who basically is from Kung Fu. Master Kung Fu. Yes, for some reason he was picked there. Yeah, he's a very minor character at best in comics. But yeah, that's him. And 134, I believe this is... No, actually, no. This was his first full appearance. It was a full cameo last issue. Yeah. Oh. Is that her? Yeah. So... This woman here, I think appeared in these issues, I'm mistaken. Yeah. Her name is Dorothy Dahan. Yeah, she was basically the butler. Oh yeah, and they describe her relationship with Gargoyle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she passed away, and it was true she passed away in a one-shot. Yep, a one-shot. That came out a decade ago. Yep, so... By the way, Angels Attire that look like that. Oh, who's that? Who's that there? Is that Wolverine? No, that's Beast. It's strange, though, because when this outfit looks, it looks like one of Wolverine's attires. And even Beast's ears making me think of Wolverine. Nope, it's basically Beast. Oh yeah, he's nearly choked out by Valkyrie. Like, damn. Yep. We also have some various stuff here with some bikini stuff. Yeah, I love the stuff depicted in this book here. Just really good stuff here. Nothing really bad. It's just basically a Defenders depicting weird situations. Oh, here's 136. Yeah, pentagram cover. We're thinking, Gargoyle, a pentagram. Is this basically appearance in here by Damien Hellstrom? Nope. Not really. Yeah, by the way, Manslaughter is not appearing in this issue. This is another Frank Coccaro cover. The main villain in this book is Sufan Wazan. Yes, a character who appeared in the previous issue. Actually, this was his debut. But chronologically, his first appearance was in 135. It was basically like maybe a cameo. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we do have Candace Souther join the team. Yep. Candace Souther. She becomes basically, she joins them with issue... Like, her first appearance in this book was actually in 127. And she was basically recurring this book into the final issue. Yeah, and she's no longer alive because she got killed by Cameron Hodge in the late 80s. But more stuff here with more supernatural stuff. It's just interesting to say the least. Then you have this really cool cover, 137, where basically it's like Defenders face off against version of the Gargoyle, and that's it. It's just really good. I thoroughly kind of enjoy this. I get this book. It feels a bit of a step down from the previous issues because it's different style of Defenders. I'm going to get this a 9.5 out of 10. It's still good. Nothing bad with this book. It's just really good. Alright, now I'm talking about the book for a half hour, but... Alright, next up we have is The Avengers, Volume 21. This is an epic collection. The Collector's Obsession. This collects issues Avengers. It was 334, 344, and number 20. Avengers Death Trap the Vault. And material from Incredible Hulk and 17. Name of the Submarine number 1. Iron Man number 12. And West Coast Avengers and number 6. Now here's the strange thing about this book. Now, we don't start with the individual issue. We don't start with 334 only. We start with the one-shot The Vault. Which it has been misconceived that this one-shot is debut of The Vault. No, it isn't. The Vault actually made its debut earlier than that. Yes. Now, The Vault itself, yeah, this is basically, let's just say this is the most high-profile appearance of The Vault. Now, The Vault itself actually first appeared in the 15th annual for Avengers. That was the first appearance of The Vault. That was in 1986. This one-shot came out in 1991. And it's written by Danny Figueroa with Raul in the artwork. Mostly put, it's just the Avengers and I think the Fantastic Four get trapped in the vault. They have to battle the villains in order to get out. And it's a high-profile book featuring Venom. Yep. It's a really good one-shot. I do recommend checking it out because it's just that damn good. If you're curious, how long is this one-shot, you might ask? The one-shot itself is over 60 pages. Yeah, coming out in 1991. Then we have the 4 annuals. Basically, Avengers number 20 and the other ones. Basically, the whole point of the annuals being here because it's subterranean wars. It's simple: the Avengers versus versus Mole Man's people. Yep, that's pretty much what these issues are. Well, the Avengers and they pretty much include the regular issues themselves. And right after those were wrapped up, then they decided to finally go to the regular issues of Avengers. Yep. Which, of course, basically some of the stuff related to this book is... Now, we have the Collector's Obsession, which starts with issue 334. That's basically what we start with. It's mostly put, basically, the Avengers deal with the Collector. Well, one of the members of the couple members of the team at this point in time is Quasar, who's wearing this different outfit here. And we also see appearance here by Cersei. Also, you're probably thinking, who is that? That's Hank Pym. The reason why he was just like this, per se, apparently, according to his doctor, this period of time, he had to retire from being a superhero. Yep. So, Hank Pym is reduced to a supporting character. He is support staff. Basically, he's there to do tech support. It's similar to what they did with Billy Cranston and Power Rangers. But here's the strange thing. This predates what they did for Power Rangers by about a few years. Actually, back in the 80s. But still, really interesting stuff here. There's also storyline here later with Rage. Would reveal exactly who he is. Now, the Collector's Obsession would be a storyline that would... There's also a B-plot here with Cersei, with her and a guy who's interested in her. The Collector's Obsession, I think it's wrapped up with like 339. Yeah, the whole storyline itself was mostly consumed in this trade. And it wraps up with issue 339, which that was the cover for the trade here. Yeah, we have this 6-part storyline here. And then we have 340, basically just finally a standalone issue, this book. We mostly do the aftermath of this thing. And it's mostly standalone issue focused on the Wasp. Yep. And then, of course, with 341, we kind of take... Now, then we have something that... By the way, the book, this issue by Fabian Caesar, we have 3 cops beating up a black guy. Now you're probably thinking, what controversial event happened in the early 90s that involved cops beating up a black guy? Rodney King. Yep, Rodney King. And here's the thing. Originally, when these cops were tried, they were acquitted. But there was an appeal. Because, from what I've read, apparently there was allegations of corruption in it. So they retried them, and they all were convicted. All of them. And they went to jail. And then, of course, we had a very similar controversy happen in 2020 with the George Freeman stuff. I'm not going into that because the aftermath of that basically was a bunch of bullcrap, and it was one guy basically who got the basically he got the worst of it, of the guy who committed it, and the guy was basically involved in the other guy. Now, Rodney King stuff, that basically sparked riots across LA, from what I read. This one inspired riots across the freaking country because of all the Black Lives Matter movement and AFTA. I'm not going more into that, but yeah, it's like basically Fame of the Season decided to do an issue where, let's just basically just use the Rodney King stuff, which is probably fairly recent. And have this guy here be... Now, apparently, it's from this book, this guy is actually a friend of Rage's. Oh, yeah, and they actually have a secret about Rage in this very issue. That Rage is not... He actually lied about his age. They also do with Sons of the Serpent and New Warriors. Basically, this probably was a way Fame of the Season to get Rage off the Avengers, put him on New Warriors. So, with this two-parter, they pretty much wrote him out of the book. Yep, so they find out he's 14, not 18, which he claimed to be. So, yeah, he was put in reserve, and he was off the team. So, he ends with New Warriors and long after this. And the final issue of this book is, simply put, basically the Avengers taking on a supposedly revived swordsman. Now, Crystal also joins the Avengers this period of time and has to deal with various other stuff. Now, she has never met the swordsman. Black Knight doesn't know him, and basically this is a two-parter where you have Black Knight versus the swordsman. Very interesting idea. Now, even the Vision points out, though, basically, this guy can't be the swordsman because he's dead. How would he know this? He saw it happen. He was a witness. And the guy's like, oh, very good, Vision. You sound cold, a little cold about it. You're playing the good little android. Back then, you weren't anything but emotionless. You want me dead. Yeah, and you're probably asking, who is this guy posing as a swordsman? Okay, I think he's supposed to be like an imposter. Yeah, he's just an imposter who poses him. Yeah, he's basically part of the Gatherers. Yes. Pretty much in a way, this two-parter leads into the storyline involving the Gatherers. Yep, that is simply put basically what this leads to. Anybody thinking the Gatherers? Yeah, that happens basically like a couple years later, but mostly put, this basically is this two-parter is basically set up for it. And his real name is Philip Jarvis. He's an alternate swordsman, otherwise known as the Cavalier. Yeah, apparently he's a doppelganger. That's most of what he is. And he basically returned 355. Yeah, returned 355. But this is a very interesting two-parter, having Chris take on the swordsman. Yep. But you can definitely say all this is basically a backdoor pilot into the Gatherer storyline. Yes. Which they actually would return in 355. Which there's a couple epic collections basically that collects the stuff. One that I think I've already reviewed, and I think the other one has not come out yet. Volume 24 I have reviewed already. Yep, I believe so. Let me take a look about that. let's see. Fear the Reaper was actually the very next couple after this one. Operation Galactic Storm, I have reviewed that one too. Let's see. I think it's volume 24. I thought I reviewed it, but I don't think I did. 26, yes. But I thought I reviewed that one, but apparently I didn't. Maybe I reviewed it a little bit later. But this book, now Fear the Reaper, I have reviewed that already. So with this book in particular, I reviewed from 344 to 359. Yep. But in the case of this book altogether, it's actually really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it seems like that we have for the main issues, you have a 6-parter, a standalone, and a 2-parter. And actually two 2-parters. Because it ends 344. But yeah, this looks pretty good. Give this book a 9 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. Okay, so that's a particular review. Next up is going to be Case Closed, which I am going to do that next. Okay, next video. Bye.